Hey, Brian.
Hey guys, it's Jeremy Greider, the e-commerce redneck, and I've got Darin Lynch from Irish Titan, the Irish Titan himself. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be on a podcast with someone, a self-described redneck.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm in Iowa, so I can relate.
Well, it's funny. I actually went to Iowa, as you know, and my buddy from Iowa, he's like, I'm just the Iowa redneck,
Yep.
And we went out there and went to the Field of Dreams, and he had been an extra on that movie.
Oh,
And he filmed us, as you saw, and did the most incredible video of me and my boy playing baseball.
That was great.
Just a great memory. But man, a postcard state. Man.
yeah, especially along the eastern side where it's a little
So
more hilly, a little more green.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams is a destination spot. It's not all that far from Iowa City. I went to Iowa City, University of Iowa, Go Hawks, Blue Cyclones. And so we had a few Mecca visitations out there ourselves.
You know, it's one of those places that if you're in that area and you don't visit, I think it's a bad idea. You should go visit. It's
very cool.
really clean. It's very beautiful. There's something about walking out of the corn like they did in the movie that's kind of cool.
Yeah. You picked a good time of year to be there.
Yeah, well,
because of the corn and the weather and the green.
Something I noticed, I come from West Texas, Odessa, Texas, and nice people, courteous people, they tend to, say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, and open doors for you. And everybody in Iowa that I met, super friendly, and I was just like, Midwesterners are the best.
Yeah.
I mean, they're incredible.
As you know, I spent a lot of time down in Texas.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of similarities with how people carry themselves and what they think of community and friends and family between the way I grew up and I'm very familiar with Iowa almost as a whole. And so between Iowa and a lot of my experiences in Texas, a lot of similarities.
I think, that's one of the things that people could definitely learn from nowadays is realize we're a lot more alike in a lot of ways than we are different.
Yep.
And,
I think that's particularly timely.
Very timely. People definitely should listen to one another, and we should learn to get along. I joined a men's group in LA years ago, and those West Coast guys are so different from Texas folks, and but I learned a lot about other people and how they are in a lot of ways very similar, and so you learn when you learn to get along with people that are different than you and listen to them and hear them out, it's like, it opens up a whole nother world.
Yep.
Well, we're here at Shoptoberfest, and I know you're not Jeremy Greider, even though it says it on the wrong side.
Don't worry, I've been called worse.
But we're here at Shoptoberfest. Tell me a little bit about, what your journey with Shopware has been and how Irish Titan is implementing Shopware.
So we've had a great adventure and experience so far with Shopware. I think we became partners 2 years ago, maybe 3, but I think 2. We're headquartered in Minneapolis. We have an outpost, as I call it, down in Texas. We have some Titans down there. That's why I'm down there a lot, as you know. But being headquartered in Minneapolis, we're around a lot of the Shopware team who happens to be in Minneapolis. And so I know a lot of them well. I consider some of them to be actual personal friends. And
Jason's the best.
Yeah. And that's who my target was with the Boo Cyclones comment, by the way.
Oh,
You're going to have a lot of good friendly banter because he's a Cyclone and I'm a Hawkeye.
I don't like the Cyclones because they beat up on us a few times last decade with Texas. So.
Well, I don't like the Cyclones because they're our rival.
Yeah.
Whether they beat up on us or we beat up on them.
Yeah.
Right. My first exposure to them was really prompted by Jason and a few other people in the Minneapolis area joining the team. So we started to explore them. It was also timely because I started Irish Titan 21 years ago. And for the first 10 to 12, on the first 12 to 13 years, we were Magento only in all of our work.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because from the very beginning, I had what we call a Titan only model, meaning we do our work with just our Titans, our employees. We don't use any contractors, freelancers, or offshore resources.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with those models inherently, but it's just not the model I wanted. So we were Titan only from the beginning, which means I kind of needed to pick a lane. I couldn't sell a Magento deal one day and a Salesforce deal the next, and a Hybris deal the day after that. And so we picked Magento pretty early. Our first site was 2009, and we were Magento only until 2017. So I guess that's 8 years. But anyway, that was a very heavy monolithic architecture, a lot of power in the developers' hands, et cetera. And then SaaS platforms started to come along, Shopify, Ecommerce, and they started to really advance their capabilities too, right? Yeah. So I saw the landscape changing because of the ability for a lot of merchants to do a lot of things with a lower total cost of ownership so that they could allocate more of their e-com spend towards the acquisition, conversion, retention strategies. Well, then I think Shopware came along at a timely point for us because we were looking for something a little more capable in some of those complex areas, restricted and regulated, hosted, some of the real complex developer-friendly, developer sort of required sort of instances again, and Shopware's fit that bill. So we've been partners for, like I said, 2 or 3 years. And at first, all of our activities were around partnership activities. Right. Getting to know each other, enablement, co-marketing activities, thought leadership, et cetera. And we really gelled very well as organizations. And then, so it's Shoptoberfest, which is September 16th this year. And it was probably 6 months ago when we closed our first deal. So it took, let's say, 1.5 years to close our first deal. And now we have 3 big deals in the end zone that we're actively working on, let alone what's in our pipeline.
Nice. Yeah. And I feel like it came along at a time when, Adobe, people kind of had their dealings with Adobe. And to me, Adobe became so complex and so expensive, Right. And it feels like maybe Shopware is a little bit of a better answer financially than Adobe.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. We don't do any new work with Adobe anymore. We still have some clients on Magento, or as I call it, Madobe, right? Magento and Adobe put together. And I'm sure there are use cases, if you're a global company and using a GSI like Accenture to help you chart your digital strategy, and you're operating in multiple countries, and especially if you're using AEM, I'm sure there are a few use cases that are still viable for Magento. But in our space, in mid-market and enterprise, we're just not seeing a lot of use cases for it. And so, again, that's why it was timely that Shopware came along, because they're sort of, I don't want to compare Shopware to Magento. Shopware is their own thing, but they are sort of a new modern spin, modern twist on Magento, Adobe. That's still a big, heavy, monolithic structure, and Shopware isn't. And so our developers are really enjoying working with Shopware. I think that one of my developers put it very, very, I think, aptly, where he said that Shopware does a good job of not letting the developers, how did he put it? Now I'm blanking on it. Be the enemy of themselves, right? Like they're allowed to do a lot that they're not allowed to do on other platforms that have more gatekeeping around them. Our strategists and our marketers are really learning how to extend the platform. I think that it's growing in its Americanization, if you will, with third-party apps, because I think they're catching up in that space. I think that, they don't want to be, this is my take. I'm not trying to put words in Shopware's leadership's mouth, but I don't think they want to be Shopify or the easy, simple commerce, right? So sometimes those things don't lend themselves to third-party apps and extending things, but I think they still want to improve in that area so that it's easier, again, because total cost of ownership is one of the arguments they want to win.
Yeah, and I think, to me, it's not, I actually don't pretend to be agnostic for customers, like what I think they should be on. When I was in the agency world, I would recommend what I thought they should be on. And a lot of those customers that are on Shopify, that's the platform they should be on. Yep. A lot of the customers that are on BigCommerce, that's the platform they should be on. When it comes to a highly customizable, modern platform that has AI and other things that are being built into it, and it's well built, it's hard to beat Shopware.
Yep. So. I totally agree. So we are Irish Titan. We're officially partnered with BigCommerce, Shopify, and Shopware.
Well, I picked the right ones.
Yeah, you did. And so we are very intentionally platform agnostic, which I feel sort of raises our industry prominence, if you will, because if we have a prospect come in who is asking for a certain platform or coming off of a certain platform, I think and hope, knocking on what I think is real wood here, that our voice around different platforms carries more weight than a Shopify only agency or a BigCommerce only agency or a Shopware only agency, because of just a agnosticism that we bring.
Right. Well, I feel like, you can nudge them towards the thing or show them which one would fit them best. And sometimes trying to shove that square peg into a round hole, it just clicks with them. But I feel like there's always a best scenario for most people.
Yep. I think in all of our deals over the years, there's a handful on one hand that really were probably a true tie, or it's kind of a toss up. And the rest sometimes is kind of close, but like usually there's a platform that emerges as a better fit for whatever reason, right? Like maybe the third-party ecosystem, or maybe it's a complex product structure, or maybe it's the industry that the merchant is in, or for whatever reason, maybe they have HIPAA compliance requirements, and sometimes those can be problematic for SaaS platforms, so usually there's something that emerges over time that drives a merchant to one platform being a better fit.
Yeah, I agree. What are some of the tools, some of the things with Shopware that you particularly were turned on to the platform for?
Yeah, a lot of it really was the powerful capabilities with a more modern architecture that's very open, right? Yeah. And so the ability for our developers to be able to achieve really complex requirements about, for example, automotive part SKU structure and how merchandising search works, and how it's all presented, in a really complex SKU structure. Those are the sorts of things that can be difficult in other platforms, and Shopware does exceedingly well in that space. They also do exceedingly well in restricted and regulated industries, and we do a lot of work in those spaces too. And so those are some of the tactical, tangible requirements or sales points that most appeal to us. And I also don't want to understate the value of the team they have there, because unless you're really trying to build a self-service platform and a self-service solution, at the end of the day, you're still working with people.
Right.
And the people that they have assembled around the Shopware table, whether it's in the U.S. or now I know many of them from overseas, primarily Germany. It's a fantastic group of people that I feel like I can text during a time of crisis, if you will, and say, hey guys, we need some help because the shit's blowing up. And they'll help. And quite honestly,
that's huge. Platform's huge.
Yep. And quite honestly, it can go the other way. They can text me or my team knowing that too. So as much as I think the platform itself is really compelling and it's advancing quickly and it's a modern architecture for really complex e-commerce needs, don't overlook the value of the people you work with, and Shopware's really nailed it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, support for a platform is key.
Yep.
If you're out there working on something and it blows up and you have no support, that's not a system you want to be dealing with as an agency, because that's coming back on your ass.
Right. You're left dying in the wind.
Yeah. You're going to get blamed.
Yep.
Well, Darin, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been really good. It's always good to see you. Yeah. Hey, brother. Thanks.
All right.
God
Thanks, Redneck.
Yeah.
Country boy off a